Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Tulley, President and Executive Writing Coach at Defend, Publish, and Lead. Welcome to episode 190, Write the First Week of Class, Part 2. In episode 136, I talked about the importance of writing the first week of class, and I gave several reasons for why this is so important. One of the reasons is scholarly writing can change semester to semester based on the types of classes you're teaching or not teaching, the rhythm of the semester in terms of other activities you might have. You might have some personal obligations that happen every Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, but then in the spring semester, you don't have that, and so on. And so I talked a little bit in that episode about figuring out how many hours you want to write in the new semester, and then writing that first week of class to basically entrench that habit that you're saying, okay, I want to write 6 hours a week or 8 hours a week or 20 or whatever that number is. But then you need to figure out when that time is going to take place. And writing the first week of class is one of those ways to entrench that time gets used for the thing it's supposed to be used for. So I just completed my first week of class, and I did go with writing the first week of class, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what it looked like. Because if you're somebody that's going into this next week, you've already got a week or two under your belt, you've already done it, you might be already in week 2 or 3 and say, well, it's too late for me. I've already had the first week of class. I can't write. You can still choose to do some of these things during whatever this upcoming week would look like. So here are some things that I did during my writing time. And for the record, I didn't actually write in the way we might think about it in terms of pages or how many words I did. But I would argue I used the time to set myself up for success for writing over the course of the semester. And so one of the things that I did was revisit my plan for the fall. I talked about pre-planning a couple weeks ago about how to just figure out what kinds of scholarship I'm going to do, what can I actually pull off during the semester, and what are some of my deadlines. So one of the things I did during my writing time during the first week of class was to figure out, okay, am I still doing all these projects? When are they due? One of the things that happened to me is I had a very hard reality check that I have a manuscript due October 1st. And so I had said one of my projects was I wanted to complete this one manuscript by September 1st, but I realized it's unlikely I will make that deadline, and September 15th is a more realistic deadline for me. And that's fine, but that also let me know, hey, that's 3-4 weeks away. So that told me again that I can't really waste any time during what I would consider my scholarly writing time. I need to prioritize that particular project because, one, it's a really important project, but two, it also has a deadline that's coming up really quickly. So I know now from doing this little kind of scan of what I'm supposed to be working on, I know now how I'm going to use that writing time for the next couple of weeks up until September 15th. Another thing that I did was I looked at what I kind of set up as an ideal writing schedule. This was something I also brainstormed a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about it in an episode at least a couple of weeks ago. But one of the things I noted was due to a heavy teaching schedule, the only real solid day I have to get some writing done is on Mondays. And I talked about how to break down that time. So one of the things that I looked at, and if you're on YouTube, you can see me showing it on the screen, but before, the way that I thought my Mondays might go, I'd be working on project one and then one of the other projects. But now at this point, I can tell that's not going to work. I have to just stay with project one during all of my writing time on Mondays. And I also need to figure out time to work in another slot, probably a Wednesday or a Friday. So one of the things just to say during this first week of class, if you haven't written, but you know you need to, it's okay to sort of restart and figure out what that would be. But I want to recommend 3 strategies to do that. One would be just looking at how many hours a week you want to write and making that decision ahead of time. It's okay if that number is 4. It's okay if that number is 10. It's whatever it is that you can get in. Obviously, we can always be writing more, but we also want to know that we don't have to be working all the time. So one of the reasons I've set up, hey, I'm going to always try to write between 6 and 8 hours a semester or 8 to 10 is so I know when I'm finished and I don't have to be working. That's still a really good goal. Another one would be to figure out where you can actually pull off some writing and start blocking out that time. You might also think about making a project list if you haven't done that. And it's okay to just have one thing on the list that you say, this semester, I'm finally getting that article published from my dissertation data, or I'm finally going to get this grant completed that I needed to do. Obviously, it depends on what other kind of scholarly requirements you have. If you're on the tenure track or at a research one institution, obviously things will be a little bit different, but just making those decisions ahead of time sends the message to yourself that you are prioritizing scholarship in addition to teaching. So hopefully these tips help a little bit, and we're always happy to talk with faculty about and graduate students about writing plans. So if you need some help on that front, you certainly can contact me at Christine@defendpublishedlead.com. Also, I want to recommend as another resource, I've mentioned many times that Textbook and Academic Authors Association is one of our sponsors. I encourage you to go check them out at TAA.org. You'll be able to check out a link to all the things that they have going on, including faculty accountability groups. They do these months of motivation. There's lots of resources in there. And if you check the show notes, there's a discount for first-time people joining. So this is one of my favorite memberships and actually my cheapest membership out of all of my scholarly organizations. So I encourage everybody to check that out. Happy writing this week.